back now to the Hatfield Magistrate's Court. It's where we find our reporter Patricia Visagie covering the story of a wife of a former cabinet minister appearing in court. Patricia, a very good morning to you. What are you witnessing there?
Good morning, Blaine, and to our viewers. Certainly you just saw the 40-year-old Norma Gigaba arriving here at the Hatfield Regional Court here in Pretoria. Of course, she was flagged by her legal team. Legal heavyweights, I must say, there. Dalimpofu, of course, on her one side, and in the other side, you had, of course, the other advocate, Tembegang Gwaitobi here, who arrived with her, of course, and her attorney as well. And now, just to give you a shot of where the proceedings have started, only a handful of media are allowed inside of that courtroom. So the magistrate said only 4 media people, 4 journalists are allowed to be inside of court. Strict rules, but the proceedings have started. And just to remind you, some of the charges that she is facing, 3 charges at this stage: criminal injury, assault, and of course malicious damage to property. And that follows that controversial video that we have been seeing circulating on social media, where it is alleged that she damaged that expensive vehicle in this particular video. And then the criminal injury charge apparently is going directly to some harmful words that apparently she exchanged with her former husband, or rather the former minister, who is her husband. And of course all of this emanates from, it seems like, the turmoil marriage that the couple is facing at this stage. You would understand their marriage has been in the news for all sorts of controversies over the years. So it seems like this is now really the last straw that broke the camel's back. And the socialite, 40-year-old Norma Gigaba, is now, of course, facing 3 charges that emanates from some of the drama, the chaos that we have seen playing out on the public scene on social media over the years. We have, of course, with shock as a country, observed some of the reports over the years that have come out of his affairs that he has had. And some of the reports that are also coming out now is that this matter is also linked to apparently an alleged affair that has forced her, or rather pushed her over the edge, and she acted out of rage. And there you, of course, saw that video where she apparently retaliated after an alleged affair, but we don't know the facts. We don't know what happens in these people's homes, but these are the reports that are, of course, making the rounds. But I think the controversial part for many here is how the Hawks are getting involved in such a matter. And there's not really good, or rather strong, clarity as to how exactly they're coming into this for. We have heard that, of course, there are allegations that the accused has put a hit on, or an alleged hit on her husband's life. So it seems like she'll be coming out. We'll hear now shortly from the other media representatives what exactly went.
I wonder if you can get a word in there,
you can see
Patricia.
She looks light-spirited.
Can you just tell us how you feel? No.
She'll be able to talk to you later.
Okay, Blaine, we thought actually we'd get a word from Norma Gigaba, but you heard her attorney saying that she'll speak to the media a little bit later. There, of course, she's leaving with high-profile advocate Dalimpofu and her attorney. We'll hear, as I said, I was not in court. Only a handful of journalists, 4 journalists, were allowed to go inside. So very short proceedings there to, of course, ventilate the matter. She probably was inside of court in terms of the actual proceedings. That probably took about 10 minutes or less. So it was very quick. And now she's going home. You would understand that she was arrested on Friday, and she was then released on, I think, an estimated about 5,000 rands bail following, of course, as I said, that controversial video that is at the center of this case, the video where it is alleged that she actually scratched that particular expensive vehicle out of a fit of rage following an alleged affair that her husband may have had. So we will hear what exactly are the charges, what exactly is it that her legal team, very strong legal team, I must say, what exactly is it that they will be arguing. And as I said just before she came out of court, that I think the focus for many here is how is the Hawks getting involved. And just to bring you into the picture again there with some of the reports, and still we see clarity, there's still a lot of uncertainty around this particular matter, and this goes back to the reports that apparently she was planning a hit on her husband, and she had actually apparently hired somebody to kill her husband, and this is still not confirmed very clearly, and we do not have evidence to actually prove this. We'll have to get more detail from the Hawks, and they can unpack to us, and exactly how did they get involved, where's the evidence, and so forth. But I think for many, that is actually the most interesting part here. But beyond that, it seems like a marriage, a relationship that was plagued by a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of drama in the marriage over the years, and some of these things we don't really even need to second guess. Really played out on social media, on public spaces over the years. This is a couple that got married, I think, in 2014. They've got 2 children together. You'd understand that the former minister, of course, held several high-profile positions. He used to be the Minister of Home Affairs, and this is a couple that really held a very strong social presence, and they became socialites beyond his political profile even, and Norma as well. Being highly deemed in social circles, and I think that is actually why the story carries power in terms of public interest, media interest. But as I said, there is also, this little technicality of how does the Hawks, which we know as a body, it's a priority crimes directorate, how do they get involved in such a case? Is it perhaps that there is an abuse of power, an abuse of influence here, to use state resources to settle personal battles, to settle perhaps people's bedroom matters? We'll have to get to the point, and we'll have to really ask for that evidence to be produced so that we can understand how does the Hawks get involved here, because at this regional court, as I said, 3 charges really: criminal injury, assault, and malicious damage to property. But the interesting part for many and for the journalists that are here is to find out how does a body such as the Hawks, that's supposed to focus on, real matters out there, organized crime, for instance, that we know is a serious problem in South Africa, how are they roped in? Is this legit? Does the Hawks have, real evidence to pursue Norma on the claims that they are making? You would understand when there is, of course, issues of hits and perhaps political assassinations. Yes, that is a territory that the Hawks would get involved in, the Hawks would investigate. But is that what is happening here? Or is this just a marriage that's on the rocks and that's really hitting rock bottom? And if that's the case, how do you then take such an important instrument of the criminal justice system and rope it in to people's personal chaotic marriages, if one may say. So we'll have to really get all those answers and find out what has happened. Blaine, I'll come back to you and perhaps maybe unpack to you what has happened in court. As I said, we had to unfortunately make certain compromises and only take in, one reporter from each medium, one from television, one from print, one from radio, one from online, for them to get that information, and they have to come and share it with the rest of us. So we'll have to see. I'll have to get that information from.
Yeah. All right, Patricia Visagie, thank you very much indeed for that report. We're fast running out of time. We're going to the top of the hour now. We'll catch up with Patricia in a short while, live for us in Pretoria. Quick break, more news at the top of the hour.